the request for a new trial for Karmelo Anthony has been denied by Judge Chitty. The defense team largely knew that this was probably going to be the outcome, and therefore, as soon as that answer or response from Judge Chitty was filed, immediately they filed a appeal. So that was already in the works. They already knew that was part of their strategy. So some say, well, you know what, your last post didn't age well. Well, I beg to differ, because that was a win for the defense. They wanted to have Judge Roach recused, and he was. So that was a victory on behalf of the defense. And to be honest with you, the judge or Judge Roach had already showed himself to be impartial when he gave that interview and he answered in response to a question he was asked about whether or not the jury had gotten it right. And he says, yeah, they got it right. So right then and there, he showed that he was unable to be impartial. So it would have been improper for him to preside over any new trial. So how fair was that going to be anyway? Secondly, I don't necessarily think this is a defeat. We would have liked to see a new trial, but think about it. The new trial would have been in the same county that convicted Karmelo Anthony. So now we move to the appeals process, and this is going to be, I believe, it's the fifth circuit for the appeals, and that's seated in the Dallas area. This is going to be a more diversified panel who's going to take a look at the errors and omissions in the original trial. Another victory, I think, out of this is that we got to expose more of the character evidence against Austin Metcalf that was not allowed to be entered. And also there were some text messages that Karmelo Anthony had sent or allegedly sent that could have been pretty damning to him as well. But keep in mind that it was portrayed that the text messages that Karmelo Anthony sent had happened the same week leading up to the stabbing of Austin Metcalf, which that was not the case. Now, Austin Metcalf had shown a long history ever since he was a young child of some very disturbing behavior, violence towards teachers, violence towards classmates, and that he was racist. As a matter of fact, he had just been involved in an incident not too long before the incident leading up to Karmelo Anthony and he at that track meet. So he had a reputation, and Karmelo Anthony knew of his reputation, and therefore I believe, just like a lot of other people believe, that Karmelo Anthony was responding in self-defense, and that Austin Metcalf was not this young, red-blooded, all-American Christian kid that everyone tries to portray him out to be. He was a violent, racist thug. Yeah, I'm going to say it again. Let's rewind it so you can hear it again. He was a violent, racist thug, and he had that reputation. Now, if you look at his father said some things that were very racist. So you see that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And people knew about this young man's reputation, including teachers, which is another reason why they didn't want teachers on that jury. So but anyway, we move to the appeals process, and we'll see what happens. They're going to look at, like I said, documentation, errors, omissions, the different evidence that was allowed in, evidence that was not allowed in. But let's see what happens, folks. But you all stay prayerful. Another thing that I'm looking at, which I don't think enough people are paying attention to, is the governor's race in Texas. Now, there's Hinojosa. She's running against Abbott. And of course, we know it's time for Abbott to go. I mean, Abbott it's just been the worst thing that's happened to Texas in a long time. I mean, we're almost dead last in education, and the country would be a lot better off without this man as governor. So if Hinojosa wins and Texas is flipped blue, there is a chance that Hinojosa could look at this herself as governor, and she could pardon Karmelo Anthony. This is why it's so important that we get out and vote. Now, keep in mind, when you vote at the state level, that's a 1 vote per person. There's no electoral college. So every vote counts in this sense. Very important. So let's keep our eyes on the prize. Stay prayerful. I'll keep you updated. All right, man, I'm going to hit the button. Y'all have a good one. Take care.